you ever looked around and wondered why you don't fit in? Why you feel out of place in rooms that others seem comfortable in? Why your silence speaks louder than their noise? It's not because something is wrong with you. It's because something is incredibly right. You are not ordinary. You are not here to follow the crowd. You are chosen. And a chosen woman? She walks alone, not because she has no one to walk with, but because the journey she's on requires her solitude. It demands her full attention. It strips away distractions and forces her to face the truth of who she is and what she's meant to do in this world. If you've ever been misunderstood, overlooked, underestimated, this message is for you. You are not alone in your loneliness. You're not broken because you're different. You are set apart for something greater. Being a chosen woman is not easy. It means walking away from what's comfortable, letting go of what's familiar, and standing tall when the world tries to shrink you. But in that silence, in that space, you discover your power. This video will walk you through why a chosen woman always walks alone, and why that's not something to fear, but something to embrace. Because on the other side of solitude is strength. On the other side of isolation is purpose. And once you understand that, you will never see your solitude the same way again. Are you ready to walk into your power? Let's begin. The weight of being chosen. A chosen woman is not like everyone else. And deep down, she knows it. She feels it in her bones. She sees it in the way life unfolds around her. She carries something sacred, something powerful, something rare. But with that calling comes a price, and one of the highest prices she pays is walking alone. You see, when you are chosen, when you are set apart for something greater, your path becomes different. It's not smooth, it's not crowded, it's narrow, it's uphill. It requires strength, silence, and unshakable faith. The chosen woman doesn't take shortcuts. She doesn't get to hide in the crowd. She walks a road very few are willing to walk. And that kind of journey is lonely. But not because she's not lovable. Not because she's unworthy of companionship. Not because she's not fun, kind, or beautiful. It's because she's called to rise higher. And rising higher often means rising away from the noise. It means distancing yourself from the distractions, from the chaos, from the people who don't understand where you're going. Because when you're chosen, not everyone is allowed access to you. Most people won't understand her. They won't understand why she doesn't follow the crowd, why she says no to things that seem normal, why she sets boundaries that others find extreme, but she knows something they don't. She's not built for average. She wasn't born to just exist. She was born to create impact, to walk with purpose, to lead with truth. And that truth requires her to walk alone. There are nights when she feels the weight of it. Nights when the silence is so loud, it echoes. Nights when she wishes someone would just understand her heart without explanation. But still, she keeps walking. Because she knows being chosen is not about comfort. It's about calling. And her calling is worth more than temporary company. Some may look at her and think she's isolated, misunderstood, or too distant. But what they don't see is that her isolation is sacred. Her solitude is strategic. Every step she takes alone is a step into her higher self, into deeper clarity, into sharper discernment. The world might not see her process, but when the results come, they'll wonder how she got there. And when she does arrive, when her light finally breaks through the clouds, they'll say, she came out of nowhere. But she didn't come out of nowhere. She came from the shadows, from quiet mornings, from long nights, from silent battles, from walking alone. Because the truth is, a chosen woman doesn't need the world to walk with her. She just needs courage, discipline, and faith in where she's headed. And with that, she will continue walking alone, but never off course. Because walking alone isn't weakness, it's the mark of the chosen. Isolation builds intuition. When a chosen woman walks alone, she enters a space many people avoid: isolation. And while the world may fear being alone, a chosen woman learns to embrace it, because she understands something powerful. Isolation builds intuition. In the stillness of solitude, she meets herself, raw, unfiltered and real. There are no distractions to cover her insecurities, no applause to validate her worth, no conversations to drown out her inner voice. It's just her and the truth. And that's where transformation begins. See, in a world that constantly pulls you in a million directions, being alone gives her the rare chance to listen to her spirit, to hear what her soul has been trying to say for years. It's in those quiet moments that clarity is born, that vision is sharpened, that purpose becomes undeniable. Most people run from silence because they're scared of what they'll hear. But the chosen woman leans into it. She knows that wisdom doesn't shout, it whispers. And you can only hear those whispers when you've shut out the noise. Isolation becomes her training ground. It's where she learns to trust herself. It's where she stops seeking permission to be powerful. It's where she begins to own her identity without apology. And once she's done that, she becomes unstoppable. Because now she's not looking outward for answers, she's looking inward. She's not molding herself to fit in, she's shaping herself to stand out. That kind of alignment, that deep internal knowing, is a weapon. It protects her, it guides her, and it elevates her in ways the world can't explain. But let's be real, it's not always easy. There are moments when isolation feels heavy, when the silence feels suffocating, when the temptation to run back to what's familiar creeps in. But the chosen woman resists. She knows this season is necessary. She knows that every lonely moment is laying a foundation for something greater. It's during this time that she strengthens her spirit. She starts praying with more purpose. She sets boundaries without guilt. She stops entertaining things that drain her. She sees through people's masks and recognizes energy shifts that others miss. Why? Because her intuition has been sharpened in solitude. And when she walks back into the world, she's not the same. She moves differently. She speaks with conviction. She doesn't explain herself because she knows who she is. That's what isolation gave her. That's what walking alone taught her. So if you're a woman walking alone right now, don't fear it. Embrace it. Don't beg for company. Cherish your own. Because in that sacred space, your soul is becoming whole. Your spirit is becoming wise, and your intuition is becoming your greatest compass. The chosen path may be lonely, but it leads to power. Trust the process. Not everyone can go where you're headed. One of the hardest truths a chosen woman must accept is this: not everyone can go where she's headed. And that's not an insult, it's a spiritual reality. Because elevation requires separation. And not everyone in your life was meant to walk the entire journey with you. At some point, you have to realize that certain relationships, friendships, and even family ties are only for a season. People are placed in your life for a reason or a lesson, but that doesn't mean they belong in every chapter of your story. And when you're chosen, when you're set apart for something greater, God starts removing those who can't handle your calling. It hurts, it's confusing, sometimes it feels like rejection, but it's not rejection, it's protection. You may start noticing the distance. Conversations start feeling shallow. You no longer align with the same values. You're growing, and they're staying the same. That tension you feel isn't conflict. It's confirmation that your spirit is evolving. A chosen woman doesn't shrink to stay comfortable. She doesn't lower her frequency to keep the peace. She doesn't play small just to keep people around. She understands that growth demands letting go. And letting go doesn't mean you don't love them. It means you love yourself enough to stop holding yourself back. You have to ask yourself, who's feeding my spirit? Are they pushing you forward or pulling you down? Do they celebrate your vision or compete with it? Do they respect your boundaries or try to break them? When you start walking in your purpose, you'll notice people who once clapped for you suddenly go silent. That's okay. Don't chase validation. Don't explain your journey to those who haven't been given your vision. It's not their job to understand you. It's your job to stay focused. And here's the truth. Not everyone has the capacity to support a woman who's rising. Your strength threatens their comfort. Your focus exposes their distractions. Your light makes their shadows harder to hide, so they pull away. Or worse, they try to dim your light. But don't you dare shrink. The higher you go, the thinner the air. Fewer people can breathe at that altitude. That's why the chosen woman often walks alone. Not because she's unworthy of love, but because her destiny demands clarity, alignment, and intentional connections. So if you're in a season where it feels like people are falling off, let them. Don't fight what God is subtracting. The right people will meet you at the next level. The ones who respect your growth, honor your boundaries, and fuel your purpose. Until then, walk boldly, walk proudly, walk alone if you must, because where you're going, only the strong can follow. And you, chosen woman, were born to lead, not to follow. Her standards are too high for the average man. A chosen woman doesn't walk alone because she's cold or unlovable. She walks alone because her standards are too high for the average man. She refuses to settle for half effort, half love, or half respect. Her mind is powerful, her heart is deep, and her spirit is sacred. She knows her worth, and she won't compromise it to feel temporary affection. A lot of men are attracted to her light, but not many are built to honor it. They admire her strength, but when they realize they can't manipulate her, they pull away. They flirt with her intelligence, but when they can't control her, they get intimidated. Because she doesn't entertain boys who play games, she's waiting on a man who brings peace, purpose, and partnership. She's not interested in superficial connections. She wants depth. She wants honesty. She wants consistency. The average man sees that and panics because he's not ready to rise to that level. He's looking for convenience. She requires character. He wants attention. She commands respect. That's why she stays single, not because she's bitter, but because she's unwilling to settle. And when you're a woman who refuses to accept less than she gives, you're going to walk alone more often than not. Because in today's world, being a high-value woman is misunderstood. People think you're too picky, too proud, too intimidating. But that's not the truth. The truth is, you've done the inner work. You've healed your wounds. You've built your life. You've grown beyond surface-level love. And now, you demand something real. A chosen woman walks alone because she knows her time is valuable. She doesn't waste it on conversations that go nowhere or men who only want access to her body without respecting her soul. She's not just looking for love, she's looking for alignment. And she understands that it's better to be alone in truth than surrounded by people who don't see her fully. Let's make this clear. Her standards are not unrealistic. They are non-negotiable. She wants a man who matches her energy, honors her purpose, supports her vision, and leads with integrity. And until that man shows up, she's not lowering herself to make anyone feel comfortable. Because every time she compromises, she betrays herself. And she's done doing that. So she waits, not in bitterness, but in power. She walks alone, not in loneliness, but in confidence. Because she would rather walk alone with dignity than be in a relationship where she constantly has to shrink, explain, or beg. The chosen woman isn't hard to love, she's just not easy to fool. And until she meets a man who's worthy of her, she'll keep building her empire, guarding her peace, and walking her path alone, with grace, strength, and an unshakable sense of worth. Because her love is rare, her mind is sacred, and her standards are set by purpose, not pressure. She's focused on her growth and purpose. A chosen woman isn't walking alone because she's lost. She's walking alone because she's laser-focused on her growth and purpose. While others are chasing attention, validation, or temporary pleasures, she's investing in her future. She's not just existing, she's building. She's not just surviving, she's evolving. There's a fire inside her that won't let her stay the same. She's constantly learning, improving, and rising above the noise. That journey requires intense focus, and not everyone can walk beside her in that season. Distractions are everywhere, but she's learned how to protect her energy and prioritize what truly matters. That kind of focus can look like isolation, but it's really transformation in motion. A chosen woman is on a mission. She's not here to be liked by everyone. She's here to fulfill her calling. Her time is too precious to be wasted on empty conversations, meaningless drama, or toxic cycles. So she cuts ties with anything that slows her down. It might look like she's cold, but really, she's just protecting her peace. She knows that growth isn't always glamorous. Sometimes it means crying in silence. Sometimes it means celebrating wins alone. Sometimes it means being misunderstood. But she embraces it because she understands this is the price of elevation. You see, not everyone is meant to go where she's going. That's why the crowd thins out when she starts climbing higher. when she starts setting boundaries, when she starts thinking bigger, when she starts saying no to things that used to distract her, people fall off. And that's okay. Because she's not afraid of walking alone. She knows her path is unique and she's learned to love her own company. Her purpose gives her peace. Her growth gives her power. And her solitude gives her clarity. She's focused on building something that lasts, whether it's a business, a brand, a legacy, or a healed version of herself. She understands that before she can pour into anyone else, she has to fill herself up first. That's not selfish. That's sacred. And the truth is, she's not really alone. She's walking with discipline, with passion, with vision. She's guided by faith, driven by values, and fueled by her dreams. That's a powerful kind of companionship, the kind that comes from within. A chosen woman doesn't need constant company to feel worthy. Her purpose validates her, her progress affirms her, and her mission drives her. That's why she doesn't chase relationships that don't align. She doesn't beg to be seen or heard. She simply continues to become the best version of herself. Because she knows the right people will find her not in her loneliness, but in her wholeness. And until then, she walks boldly in her purpose, focused, fierce, and free. She's not waiting for life to happen, she's creating it, step by step, alone but never lost. She sees through the illusions of the world. A chosen woman walks alone because she sees through the illusions that bind so many others. She doesn't fall for the glittering lies of society, the pressure to conform, or the shallow pursuit of validation. Her vision is deeper. She sees through the fake smiles, the filtered lives, the empty relationships, and the constant noise. And because of that, she chooses a different path, one of truth, depth, and self-respect. The world often celebrates popularity over purpose, appearance over authenticity, noise over wisdom. But not her. A chosen woman isn't impressed by trends or temporary hype. She's not distracted by people who live just to impress others. She sees through the illusion of perfection on social media, the illusion of needing someone to feel complete, and the illusion that being alone equals being lonely. Her ability to see truth makes her powerful, but it also sets her apart. When you can see through the masks, the games, and the manipulation, you automatically remove yourself from situations that others would walk into blindly. That level of discernment is rare, and because it's rare, it often leads to isolation. But that's not something she fears, it's something she's learned to embrace. She doesn't pretend to be okay with surface-level connections. She doesn't entertain people who wear facades or chase clout. She doesn't fake laughter to fit in. And she doesn't force herself to belong where she knows her soul doesn't feel safe. Her peace matters too much. Her energy is too valuable. Her path is too sacred. And make no mistake, this vision didn't come overnight. It came through pain, betrayal, silence, and healing. It came from learning the hard way that not everyone who says they love you truly does. That not everyone who walks with you is meant to stay. And that sometimes it's the ones closest to you who show you the biggest lies. But from that experience, she gained a gift, clarity. And clarity is power. But because of that, she's no longer fooled by flattery. She doesn't need people to like her. She needs them to be real. She doesn't crave attention, she craves purpose. She doesn't chase fantasy. She honors reality. This clarity has sharpened her instinct, protected her path, and made her more intentional than ever. And yes, that means she walks alone more often than not. But she doesn't see it as a loss. She sees it as elevation. You see, a chosen woman isn't afraid of walking away from the crowd when the crowd is blind. She knows that truth often isolates before it elevates. But in that isolation, she finds her strength. In that silence, she finds her voice. In that clarity, she finds her direction. She walks alone, not because she's broken, but because she's awake. And in a world full of illusions, being awake is a gift that few can handle, but one she carries with pride. She refuses to settle for less than she deserves. A chosen woman walks alone because she refuses, completely and unapologetically, to settle for anything less than what she knows she deserves. Her standards aren't high out of arrogance, they're high out of experience. She's been through enough to know that compromising her values, her peace, and her worth is never the answer. She knows that settling might bring temporary comfort, but it always comes at the cost of long-term fulfillment. This kind of woman has seen what it feels like to lower herself for the sake of others, how draining it is to shrink so someone else can feel tall. She's done pretending that mediocrity is okay just to avoid being alone, and now she's done settling. Period. Whether it's in love, friendship, career, or even how she spends her free time, she's intentional. She doesn't entertain relationships that drain her, conversations that belittle her, or environments that make her doubt her potential. And yes, this filters out a lot of people. It filters out the ones who only want to use her. It filters out the ones who fear her strength. It filters out the ones who want her to stay small so they can feel big. That's why she walks alone. You see, refusing to settle is lonely at first. It's not easy to turn down attention when you're starving for connection. It's hard to say no when the world celebrates yes at all costs. But she's learned that being alone in peace is better than being surrounded in pretense. She's learned that the right people will never ask her to water herself down. And until those people come, she walks strong, sure, and solo. This refusal to settle doesn't come from pride, it comes from self-respect. She knows that love isn't supposed to feel like confusion, that success doesn't have to mean burnout, that happiness doesn't require validation, and so she chooses quality over quantity, substance over surface, truth over tradition. She doesn't chase people, she attracts them. By simply being herself, unapologetically, she draws in those who are aligned with her energy, but she will not fake her personality to please a crowd. She will not mold herself into someone else's idea of enough. She is already enough exactly as she is. Her solitude is not sadness, it is strength. Every day she chooses herself, she becomes more powerful, more grounded, and more radiant. And one day, when the right relationships arrive, be it love, friendship, or tribe, they'll meet her at her level, not drag her down to theirs. Because the chosen woman knows this. Settling is not love. Settling is self-betrayal. And she loves herself far too deeply to ever betray her own soul again. So she walks alone not because she can't find someone, but because she's waiting for what's right. And that kind of patience? That's power. Her purpose is bigger than approval or company. A chosen woman walks alone because her purpose is bigger than fitting in. Her calling is louder than the noise of the crowd. She's not here to gain approval. She's here to fulfill a mission. And that mission doesn't require a cheering section. It requires vision, resilience, and solitude. When a woman is truly chosen, by life, by destiny, by divine intention, she begins to notice that her path doesn't look like anyone else's. She doesn't need the world to clap for her to know she's worthy. She doesn't wait for validation to move forward. Her purpose becomes her fuel, and once that fire is lit, no one can dim it. She understands that not everyone will understand her, not everyone will support her. And that's okay. She has outgrown the need to be understood by the masses. Because when you're walking in divine purpose, the road is often narrow. It's not crowded. It's quiet, but it's sacred. She walks alone, not because she's unloved, but because she's focused. Every step she takes is intentional. She knows that distractions can look like friends, lovers, opportunities, even applause. But she's learned to discern the difference between what feels good temporarily and what builds her eternally. The chosen woman chooses impact over image. She isn't obsessed with appearing perfect or being popular. She's committed to being powerful in her truth. And sometimes, walking in that truth means walking alone. Because the truth is rarely comfortable. It's rarely convenient. But it is always worth it. She's not chasing trends. She's creating legacy. She's not trying to blend in. She's trying to stand out for the right reasons. She's not looking to be everyone's favorite. She's looking to be her highest self. And that journey, that transformation, requires her to strip away everything that no longer aligns with her growth. That includes toxic relationships, shallow validation, and environments that no longer feed her spirit. Her solitude gives her clarity. Her quiet time gives her power. While others are busy seeking acceptance, she is busy building. While others scroll for affirmation, she is digging deep for direction. And while many feel lost in the crowd, she finds herself in the silence. The chosen woman isn't lonely. She's aligned with her creator, her calling, and her convictions. She may cry in silence, she may struggle in private, but through it all she rises. She rises because her purpose is bigger than the pain of walking alone. In the end, it's not about how many people walk with her, it's about how many lives she changes because she dared to walk her own path. So yes, the chosen woman walks alone, but she walks with purpose, and purpose, my friend, is more powerful than popularity. So now you understand. A chosen woman doesn't walk alone because she's weak or unwanted. She walks alone because she's on a path that was never meant for the crowd. Her journey is sacred, her purpose is rare, and her destiny, it's too powerful to be diluted by noise, drama, or distraction. Society will try to convince her that she needs to be surrounded to be strong, that she must always be in a relationship to be fulfilled, that her worth is tied to how many people follow, love, or applaud her. But a chosen woman knows better. She knows that solitude is her sanctuary, that isolation is not punishment, it's preparation. It's in those quiet seasons where she learns who she truly is. It's in those moments of loneliness where her strength is forged. And it's in those times when no one sees her that her true power begins to rise. Because when you're chosen, you're not here to fit in. You're here to stand out. You're here to lead, to inspire, to shift atmospheres. And to do that, you can't afford to carry dead weight or entertain distractions. You need to stay focused, grounded. Remember this, just because you're walking alone right now doesn't mean you're lost. It means you're being refined. It means you're being called higher. And every step you take in solitude is preparing you to walk in power. You may feel the sting of separation, but trust that it's only clearing the way for your elevation. Every friendship you lost, every room you left, every silence you sat in, it all had a divine purpose. So embrace your walk. Embrace the quiet. Embrace the path that no one else understands. Because you, chosen woman, were never made to blend in. You were made to lead. You were made to rise. And you were made to walk alone. Until it's time to walk in purpose. Now stand tall, walk boldly, and remember, the walk may be lonely, but the destination is divine.